right, today we're going to talk about the recording of Save Your Breath, the first early exit song put out in about 3 years, and an exciting both introduction to a new project and standalone single that was a blast to record and is going to be really fun to play live as well. So we're going to talk through the recording of this song. I'll talk a little bit about the different components that come in and out of the song at different points, a little about the songwriting process, and we'll finish up by really hearing how this all came together. So I'm going to kick off with the intro here, and we'll take a listen to that now. So I really wanted to kick off this song with something a little confusing and that sets the tone and tees up the full throttle rocker that is to come. And I kind of wanted this to sound almost like a siren. So you can hear the guitar parts bouncing between the left and the right speaker as they fade into the picture. Eventually the rhythm guitars come in, and there's actually distorted drums on the final song as well that got added into the mix process. But again, just something cool that teed up the song before it fully exploded into the big rhythm section. So I usually start with drums and then add in bass and then guitars, but I really want to talk through the guitar sound on this record before we get into all that. So I'm going to play all the guitars that come in right when that intro ends. We'll take a listen to those, and I'll talk a little bit more about their sound in a second. Quite a wall of guitar sound, which is exactly what I was going for. And what you'll hear is that these guitars, specifically the rhythm guitars, are a little more in-your-face and aggressive than on previous records, which is exactly what I was going for. A lot of that aggression comes from the two main rhythm tracks that we'll take a listen to here. Essentially, these two guitars are my Les Paul Jr. run through a classic Marshall amplifier, and then a pass done on both the left speaker side and the right speaker side. And essentially there were 4 different microphones placed right up on the speaker cabinet along with a room mic that helped contribute to this sound. Pretty nasty. Let's see what just the 57 mic is contributing to this. You can tell that's a bulk of the sound and very bright and in your face and doing a lot of work kind of carrying the tone of what we're going for. Next up is a Sennheiser 421. Definitely less volume there, but contributing quite a bit to the lower end of the sound. Next up is a Royer 121 that's going to be even lower in volume. Lower, but you can hear what it's doing. And next up is a 414 that's higher in volume and going to capture some of the mid-range bite that really pulls this guitar sound into your face. Last up is the room sound. These are very low, but they're meant to be. These are really just to give some atmosphere to the recording so it doesn't sound like it's just recorded in a vacuum. Yeah, and these are about 10 to 12 feet away from the amplifier, and you can just hear how it's capturing the sound bounce over the walls. So you put all those together and you get a pretty good rhythm guitar sound. The last thing I'll say about this is when the chorus kicks in, a third guitar is added in here. And really just adds a different layer and feel to the chorus and gives a little more weight to the guitar sound there. So there's a different texture and almost dimension when that new section hits. So let's take a look at what that sounds like and how that change impacts the overall song. darker. just adds a lower anchoring piece right up the middle during the chorus. Great, so that's the bulk of the rhythm guitar sound on this song. Next, I think it would be good to take a look at how the drums and bass fit together, maybe from the end of the verse through the first chorus. So I'm going to unmute the drums here, unmute these bass tracks, and let's let it run. So the bass was a classic 1970s P bass, recorded through multiple different amplifiers along with a DI. And the drums were played by the legendary Alex Garcia Rivera, recorded at Mad Oak Studios. And they sound fantastic and really drive this song forward. You'll hear Alex is playing all over the entire album that comes out, and he just does a fantastic job as usual. So you can hear these two lock in and really set the foundation for this chorus. All right, for the second verse, I think it would be good to pull in some vocals along with some percussion and even a synth that was recorded for this song. So let me do that now. So this synth is just deep one note that kind of sets the foundation here and lets the bass, drums, and percussion soar over that. Gonna mute the bass, and let's take a listen to what the vocals do when we kick into the chorus.
You're gonna need it later. Save your breath. Come on, do me a favor now. If you're in heaven, you're in hell. Don't think, keep it to yourself. Save your breath. You're gonna need it later now.
So essentially, these choruses have quite a few harmony layers, as you can tell. On each side, in both the verses and the chorus, there are harmonies kind of adding different texture and dimension to the main vocal, along with doubles. So there's a double of the main vocal that comes in the chorus just to add more weight to that section. There are some alternative harmonies that kind of mirror what's going on with the main vocal throughout the chorus section. So let's take a listen to that again and just kind of focus in on those harmonies and see what they're doing.
One day, save your breath. You're gonna need it later. Save your breath. Come on, do me a favor now. If you're in heaven, you're in hell. Don't think, keep it to yourself. Save your breath. You're gonna need it later now.
I love doing backing vocals. Vocals were recorded at Lake House Recording Studio along with the guitars with Nick Samanchik, who did a fantastic job on the bulk of this record. But I would usually just tell him, add another track, let me try another harmony, add another track, and we just do it till we kind of squeeze the juice out of what the vocal part could be. This song's fairly up the middle in terms of harmonies that were added, but as you start to hear more songs that come out, you'll get to see a lot of the fun that I had with adding in a lot of backing vocals and, making these tracks as complete as they can be, which, I've never gotten to do in the past. So it was a really great experience to do that. Next thing I'll talk through is maybe some more guitar as the solo section comes in. And here, there are a couple things to pay attention to. So first part of the solo is an octave section that comes over the main rhythm guitars. This was essentially a Les Paul standard that was played through a high watt amp with a nasty distortion pedal. And these are doubled. So there's one octave part going over the main rhythm guitar on each side of your speakers. And essentially doubles are done to make things seem bigger and more orchestral. We have two speakers, so we might as well put two performances for the same reason that an orchestra exists. You can hear one violin in a room, or you can hear three, and you immediately know that sounds bigger. So let's take a look at what those sound like in context, and then we'll solo them up as well, just to get a sense of the actual guitar sound. So I'm going to play just the guitars now. One thing I love to do when I'm bringing in a new guitar part is I do a little slide that's like, It kind of just says, hey, I'm here and we're going to kick some butt. So you'll hear that at the beginning of this. It sounds improvised, but those slides we focus quite a bit on those slides. So we'll take another listen to that. Gives way to just a very simple solo, but in a song like this, that kind of does the trick. All right, so we've heard a lot of the individual components and what is adding up to what you hear in the release version. This is not the mix. So the song was mixed by Chris Sheldon, fantastic mixer. If you've heard Everlong or Monkey Wrench by the Foo Fighters, that's who mixed that song. It was fantastic to get him to work on my project. But I think it's interesting to hear what the final recording sounds like unmixed and just all the instruments as recorded playing. So let me unmute everything and let's just let it run through the end of the song and hear what this recorded version over many, many months sounded like when I turned it into mixing.
Save your breath, you're gonna need it later. Save your breath, come on, do me a favor. Now if you're in heaven, you're in hell, don't think, keep it to yourself. Your breath, you're gonna need it later.
Lead guitar and the octaves come back here. Fairly simple song, but when putting out the first song released under Early Exit in a few years, it was important to me to have something that was both familiar and introduce some new, sounds, themes, concepts before we get really weird with it with some of the other songs. So really excited for those to come out and for you all to hear those. Thank you so much for the support and the listens on Save Your Breath, and can't wait to see you out at a show soon. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.
Broken pictures on the wall, memories for when you call. We're gonna break out of this song.